There's another new function available, and this function works in connection with the restricted movement function. So, for example, if you want to place a wall around this body here, then you start to copy the wall, and then you realize that at the end there is a gap. And that's always annoying, you know, it's but now you have a small chance to change this, to close the gap. So first select the object group, and then if you press and hold down the X key, you know, you switch into the restricted movement, and the objects are moving along this axis. But as long as you press and hold down the X key, you see here in the top of the screen two options, and the first one is the default one, the constant movement, and the second one here is extended movement. So select this one, and now if you move the objects, so it's a kind of a stretching, so you can stretch the distance between the objects, and then you have a real chance to reach the correct position at the end of the wall. So that's really cool. Here another example, so maybe you want to copy in this object here exactly 10 times along this way up to the end here, and then it's a bit difficult to get the right distance between the objects, but with this function it's easy. So first copy the 10 objects, 10, then select the whole group, press the key X to switch into the restricted movement, and activate the extended movement. And now stretch the distance between the objects, and that's all. So, and this function works also on Z-axis, and I will give you a small example now. So first I copy them objects here. Okay, select the whole object group, press and hold down the Y key, activate the extended movement, and move the objects into this position, I think. Okay, now I press and hold down the control key, and in this situation normally you can change the height of the objects, but now you have also access to the extended movement. So activate this mode, and now you can move the objects in this way. So I think that's also a cool function. There's one important thing you have to know about this function, and that means the objects must be selected in a row. So if I copy this object here, then I copy this object in a row. That means if I use the group selection function by pressing G, then these objects are automatically selected in a row. As you can see now, if I use this function, the object behaves correctly. But if I select these objects in this way, the objects are not selected in a row. as you can see now. Though the object behaves a little bit strange. And the same is true if I use the select brush. The objects are not selected in a row, so that's the reason for this behavior. So what you can do is select the objects manually, so object by object, then the objects also selected in a row, as you can see here. And the second way is to use the select brush, but then set the brush to a small size, so that you can select the objects from one side to the other side. And then the objects are selected in a row. So that's very important to know, because otherwise the function is not working correctly. Okay, the next new function is the pitch and bank function, but please note this function has one restriction, and that means you can only use this function for mission export and for script export, but not for terrain builder export, because there's still a bug, and I hope Bohemia will fix this bug in the near future, because then we have many more possibilities. Another hint in this case is the functions are based on the original Bohemia functions, and that means in some situations the object behaves a little bit strange. So basically, if you want to use this function, you have to turn on ASL, so otherwise the function will not work. That's important to know. Okay, so to use the bank function, press and hold down the key dot. Okay, first turn on ASL. Lol. Press and hold down the key dot, and then you will see some white lines here along the bank axis, and then simply press and hold down the left mouse button and move the mouse up or down, and it works fine. Okay, to reset the bank value, press the key N. To use the pitch function, press and hold down the key comma, and then you will see the white lines along the pitch axis. So press and hold down the left mouse button and move the mouse to the left or to the right. That's also working fine. So press N to reset. It's also possible, of course, to change the pitch and the bank stepwise. So for example, press the key dot to change the bank and then move the mouse wheel. And that's a good idea if you want to reach exactly 90 or 45 degrees. Okay, press N to reset, and then press the key comma, and that's also working, of course. If you want to know what the current pitch or bank value is, then simply open the POS window, activate the object info page, if this page is not visible, by pressing the F button here, and then you will find two entries. B means bank, P of course pitch. So, and as soon as you change the picture of the bank, then you can see the respective value at this position. Okay, as I said before, there's sometimes strange behavior, and that's true especially if you use both functions together. So for example, if I change the bank first, maybe like this, and now I change the pitch, then I think it looks okay. It works fine. Reset. But if I change the pitch first and then change the bank, then it looks a bit strange. So, but anyway. Another small problem is the copy direction. So normally if you press the key Q to change the copy direction, then it looks like this. So that's okay. But as soon as you change the bank, for example, then it looks like this. In this direction it's okay, but in this direction the copy distance is not correct. But maybe I can fix this in the next patch. And as soon as you reach 90 degrees, then the copy direction works only into this and into this direction, but not in the other directions. So if you press C, the copy is placed exactly on the position of the original object, as you can see here. But it's possible to copy the object up or down. Press Shift and Q, then you can copy the object into this direction. If you create an object selection, maybe a selection like this, then the pitch and the bank function works like this. So first the pitch, make sure the ASL function is turned on. That's okay. Press N in order to reset, and the bank function works like this. Okay, a little bit strange behavior. And press N in order to reset. But in this situation it's important to have no object in focus, otherwise it doesn't work. So set the mouse pointer beside the objects and then press N. Okay, so and now if you copy an object selection, maybe this selection, then all the copied objects get the same pitch and bank values, of course. If you select an object with the alternate moving mode, so set the focus and press B, then the pitch and the bank function is also working. So press dot, press N, press comma, copy. So all these things are working, of course. But these functions are not working with the single brush. So for example, if you start the brush by pressing B, then there's no option to change the picture of the bank in this situation. But if you change the picture of the bank before you start the brush, P, then it's working, of course. But there's no chance to change the picture of the bank during the brush is running. If you want to get the picture and the bank values from any other object, then that's also possible. So simply turn ASL on first, and then set the focus to any other object and press the key N. And that means if you have no object in focus, the key N reset the picture and bank values, and if there is any other object, then you can get the picture and the bank values from this object. And sometimes it looks like this because the picture and the bank values are depending on the orientation of the object. But you know, it's easy to rotate the object by 180 degrees, for example, and then it's okay. With these new functions, you are able now to create some nice object constructions. So, for example, if you want to build a kind of a ramp, for example, with this object type, so then it's easy. Turn ASL on, copy this object. No, first change the bank value, and then copy this object, maybe 5 times. Then select all these objects, and now use the new extended movement function. So press left control key and activate the extended movement. And now it looks okay. Press space, select the last object, create another copy, press N to reset. Set this object to the correct position. Copy. Select the whole construction. Copy. Rotate. Change the position a little bit. And now you are ready. That's another kind of a bridge, but created with the XCAM objects. So this construction contains 3 different object types. And here another crazy construction, but what is it? So if you have a closer look, then we will see it's simply a table. Or another construction. So that's simply a concrete wall, as you can see here. And this one is also very nice. And it's created with this single object. So there are many possibilities. And that's the same project exported as a mission file, and as you can see, it's working. The bridge and also these constructions here. So that's cool.